showing. I'll talk to you later, huh? Yeah, it's on live, right, Yashika?
Yeah, it's streaming. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm extremely sorry for the error, the technical glitches that we had, and we are ready to go. Good evening, everyone. We at BRICS CCI Young Leaders are very happy to invite you to a session on sneak peek into the 21st century skills, preparing yourself for jobs of the future with Mr. Shekhar Bhattacharjee, founder of Dalham Learning. Mr. Shekhar is a futurist and social entrepreneur in the edtech space and is the founder of Dalham Learning, the only e-learning platform focused on integrating liberal studies with engineering and management courses. With Dalham Learning, Shekhar envisions a world where tenacious job seekers become confident job creators, global leaders, and passionate human beings. Shekhar dropped out of university to follow his true calling of creating a better world for students. So far, he has been a part of numerous success stories. First of all, thank you so much, sir, for joining us. We have a very keen participant. We have a group of very keen participants who are waiting to listen to what you have to say. And over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. I think I'm audible to all of you, clear and loud.
Yes, sir.
Great, perfect. So good evening, everyone. I can see diverse names, and I think the female ratio is higher than the male one. So good to see audience from the other gender. But before I start my session, may I request all of you that if we can have 1 minute silence for friends and family that we have been losing over this pandemic in last few weeks. It has been a loss to many of us to lose our dear friends and colleagues. I think before I start this session, so if I can request all of you to do a quick 1 minute silence for them. Okay, so I'm ready to start this session. As the topic says that I'm going to actually give you a sneak peek into 21st century skills and how are they correlated with jobs of the future. The jobs of the future as a topic have been around us for almost half a decade now. And COVID and pandemic have compounded the importance of jobs of the future because of uncertainty in every sector. Few sectors are shrinking, new sectors are emerging, and so are a lot of existing job titles are either shrinking or completely getting vanished. And with that, we are also witnessing a lot of new job titles are evolving. Now, in that change, in that phase of transition that we all are going through, where the world is going through an automation, where a lot of existing roles are taken over by robots and automation, human will go back doing what human were always good at for centuries, that is thinking. And in last few years, in last few decades, we have actually given up on thinking skills because of the automated lifestyle that we live in. From smart home to smart car, from smart mobile to our smart tech in our life, I think we became so tech dependent that very little attention was given to thinking skills. So with the change of jobs, with this uncertainty, with the change and coming up of new roles and responsibility, we are going to witness a big transition. But then one thing that will remain common between all the jobs, which we are not aware of today, uh, are referred as 21st century skills. And the beauty of 21st century skills, while in this world of technology, they don't belong to the world of technology, typically belong to the world of social science. So before I start my session, I would like Suzanne to, quickly play a video, which is actually a curation of thought leaders who have been actually working in this space to really help us understand what do we mean by 21st century skills and how and where the world is heading. Suzanne, if you can play that video.
Yes, I'll just do that. Yashika, can you please make me the host? If it's
Just a second.
okay, I'll just share it.
Because the automation revolution will not be a single watershed event following which the job market will settle down into some new equilibrium. Rather, it will be a cascade of ever bigger disruptions. All jobs will disappear, new jobs will emerge, but then the new jobs will rapidly change and vanish.
There's been this fear that the fourth industrial revolution means that we all need to develop only technology-oriented skills or only highly scientific skills. In fact, the opposite is true. Some of the biggest rising skills of the next years are going to be creativity, collaboration, interpersonal dynamics between people, teamwork, specialized sales roles, HR-related roles, care-related roles, education-related roles. These are all things that are actually at the forefront of how people relate to each other. We will need to deploy technology across all of that, but it's going to mean a combination of being digital, but also being very human.
साथियों, भविष्य की दुनिया हमारी आज की दुनिया से काफी अलग होने वाली है। ऐसे में हमें अपने स्टूडेंट्स को 21st सेंचुरी की स्किल्स के साथ आगे बढ़ाना है। ये 21st सेंचुरी की स्किल्स क्या होगी? ये होगी क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग, क्रिएटिविटी, कोलैबोरेशन, क्यूरियोसिटी और कम्युनिकेशन। ये सब आज समय की मांग है, बहुत जरूरी है।
So is this fine?
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Thank you, Suzanne. So before I start my session, I would like to share with you that, I'm going to divide them into three phases. To begin with, I will try and focus first on what does the jobs of the future looks like? Are we talking about new sectors that will take birth? Are we talking about new job roles in the existing sectors? Are we looking at job titles which we have never witnessed in our college will suddenly pop up and we don't know what we need to do? My second area would be to look at, giving you a sneak peek into what are these 21st century skills and how does it really help us to stay relevant, whether old jobs continues or the new jobs, take birth. And lastly, look at the application of how do we really look at becoming a 21st century skill oriented individuals, whether we are employers, whether we are entrepreneurs, whether we are students, whether we are working professionals. So can you all raise hands here out of 82 people that I can see? How many of you are students in this group, so that it can give me a fair idea to keep the tone, whether I'm addressing students or I'm addressing working professionals or entrepreneurs? All right, so approximately 20%. How many of you are entrepreneurs here? Mm, all right. And how many of you are working professionals? Okay, so majority, I think 25, 30% are students, and then few entrepreneurs, and I think rest of them belongs to a different category. Nobody raised hands. Okay, so let's keep it interactive. Please keep throwing questions so that it becomes more engaging, and the sessions we all can learn from each other. The first and foremost thing is that, okay, we are talking about jobs of the future. A recent report that got published by World Economic Forum, which they have done across 26 countries, 15 sectors, and they did the survey with more than 3,000 organizations to find out what are these emerging skills, what are the shrinking skills, and what are those new role that we are talking about. And one thing that is common that came out from all of these sectors, all of these countries, all of this organization is number one core skills and the key skills is critical thinking, followed by collaboration, followed by communication, followed by problem solving skills. Whether you are a coder, you are a designer, you are into sales, you are into people management, this set of emerging skills remain common across all verticals. So jobs of the future primarily is going to demand people from multidisciplinary background. Uh, in next 5 years, we are not going to witness job description which says that you need to be major in computer science and minor again comes from the same domain. In fact, the new job descriptions that we have already started witnessing brings in the multidisciplinary approach that if you are getting into the world of marketing, you need to have basic understanding of sociology. You need to have fundamentals of design education. You need to have fundamentals for at least subjects like, design and visual communication and all of this, because only marketing skills cannot help you to create award-winning or heart-winning communication or campaigns for your product. Likewise, engineers are no more demanded only with coding skills. The engineers of tomorrow or of today are looked at in a way that they need to bring in thinking skills, not just logical, but also critical in nature. They need to have strong command over writing skills. We all must be witnessing the fact that there was a time when we used to pick up the phone and call up Just Dial to find out information about any services that we needed. But everything got completely uh, transited into platforms where you can chat with a customer care executive. So from a verbal communication, the shift has happened to written communication. And the social world that we live in, whether we are using social media platforms like Snapchat and Instagram and any other platform, or even using services like Swiggy and Zomato, you hardly interact with someone. You're actually communicating by chatting with the customer care executive, which means that skills across levels, whether even it is a customer care executive, your writing skills, your command over language is going to play a very, very important role. So to give you an example of one of the finest case study that I have read, that in the mid of 90s or early 90s, they're one of the most popular denim brand from the US assigned their marketing manager to launch their product in Middle East. Now, this fellow, of course, came down to Middle East, did his research, came up with his campaign and launched their denim. The denim is one of the largest brand till today. But right after the campaign, in next 60 days, the company had to withdraw their services and showroom from almost all Middle East nation. Where did this marketing manager go wrong? The marketing manager adopted one of the most popular European and American advertisement that they were running for years. The advertisement was about a girl facing the wall. I mean, she's half naked, only wearing the denim, only wearing the jeans. That did not really go well with the culture of Middle East. wish that marketing manager had basic understanding of cross-cultural learning. And today, all of these things are falling in place. In recent few months back, I have seen a Flipkart customer care executive created a big chaos with one of the customer from Flipkart ordered something maybe through Flipkart and said that will I get this the product delivered in Kohima, which is in Nagaland. And the customer care executive responded back that we don't deliver outside India. Now, it definitely have heard the sentiment of that customer because Northeast have always been a sensitive topic, and without basic geography knowledge, that customer care executive have just put the brand uh, in a situation where they had to, ask sorry, not just to the individual customer, but to the entire nation. So the way we are progressing, where the world is coming closer, the internet is bringing every one of us closer together. It is very important to have multidisciplinary skills. So you cannot just say that how social studies and how geography and anthropology and sociology will help us to become a better marketeer, better techie, better coder. Answer is, in fact, those are the skills and knowledge that will always help you to build better perspective. So no matter what jobs of the future looks like, no matter how and what kind of title we are talking about, no matter what kind of job descriptions we are talking about, if we keep ourselves engaged in basic social science education, whatever we come across, we will be able to fit in ourselves. Another best case study that I can show you, in fact, all of you can visit Tesla's website and go to their career section. While they recruit graduate engineering trainee with qualification in mechatronics and mechanical engineering, they also demand that the minor should be in anthropology because they're making automated cars. They're making cars where it can driven automatically without drivers. So what does an anthropologist do in such organization? The anthropologists basically try to help the coder to understand the data mobility of human in different society. Of course, driving in Los Angeles is not the same in driving in Ghaziabad. So of course, if the car has been coded for the roads in Los Angeles cannot be the same in Ghaziabad. So likewise, every job that we are looking at, wherein most of the standard operating process, which we also call it as a SOP-led job roles, marking attendance in an organization, calculating salaries, processing payments, all of this were done manually at one point, has already been taken over by automation and robotic process. So what human will end up doing when there is a transition, they will be end up doing only thinking jobs about managing interpersonal dynamic skills between human. So first point is we should not worry about the future of job titles. Yes, they are evolving every day, but they're evolving with the demand that you need to come with multidisciplinary background. We all love the product Apple. Most of us may be using one or the other kind of Apple product, be it iPhone or MacBook or iPad. One of the or we are using platforms like Netflix or any of the OTT platform. I'll give you one of the another classic example that the invention of mouse took birth in Apple. The from mouse we got into scrolling the screen or maybe the iPod scroll, which allowed us to shuffle music, and from there we got into scrolling the screen. All of the study came out from nudging behavior. Nudging behavior is a part of behavioral economic study. So the technology without that basic social science knowledge wouldn't have given birth to the beautiful nudging system that we all go through. We all use our thumb finger to scroll left, right, or up and down to find out what we are looking at. And that study was not a tech study. The study was a psychological human behavior study. While at the same time, we all go to showrooms like Zara and H&M and maybe in the UK, one of the biggest small budget, low budget retail brand like Primark. All of them have adopted the shopping behavior by, if you go to Zara, you must have witnessed that right outside the counter of payment, there are small, area where you can pick up socks, where you can pick up 500 rupees perfume. So all of this came out of a behavioral economist education and not from management in marketing. So jobs of the future is no more skill specific, it is a multidisciplinary specific. So no matter what job role we are talking about, what sectors we are talking about, All of this definitely demands multidisciplinary skills. And what are those top 10 or top 5 emerging sectors, or what are those 5 sectors that is going to command the next 1 decade? Definitely education plays one of the major vital role. Education is in transition, shifting on internet. So edtech is one of the growing space. Fintech is another growing space. Agrotech is growing in another growing space. Altogether, the space where internet can become medium to transfer knowledge or help consumers like us to buy and sell product are going to be on the top 5 category. And with that, people who are graduating out of colleges or entrepreneurs who are building organizations and scaling their business, it will be very important to look at multidisciplinary skills. And when I refer and talk about multidisciplinary skills, I'm not talking about 21st century skills here. I'm talking about interlinking and correlating. So social science education, as I define, is not a stream, it's not a vertical, it's not a department within a university. Rather, it should be the poetry of education. So if you learn coding, how psychology can help you become a better coder should be an interlinked curriculum and program. So if you are a student here, you should explore doing multiple minors in variety of subjects that has been of interest to you, because maybe in the first job or your first enterprising journey, you may not be able to interlink it, because liberal education or social science never prepares you for job, it prepares you for life, but you will be able to interlink it maybe 5 years from your first job. Now, shifting my topic to that how this jobs of the future related with 21st century skills. In fact, how did the definition 21st century skills came up as? So 21st century skills, I think, was coined in mid 90s, not now. But of course, every country, let's talk about India, we have been going through economical upliftment for almost 3 decades now. We first witnessed industrial revolution, then we witnessed in early 90s globalization, then we witnessed the boom of internet. So during this, all these three economical upliftment, the country have always demanded people with certain skills, that we need coders, we need engineers, we need mechanics, we need pilots, we need drivers, we need all of those skills focused. Now, as the economic upliftment happens, there also comes a point when economy needs to settle down or stabilize and then continue floating on that direction. So when such situation comes, the country also need to start innovating. India doesn't innovate much comparing to a lot of other developed economies because of the race that we have to win. So no blame to anybody. So keeping that in mind, that now the time has come that India has started innovating. Innovation doesn't just happen by owning skills from certain subjects that you have learned. It will never help you that if you do 5 years of artificial intelligence, you can become a great coder. In fact, to become a better coder with or better skills in AI, you also need to be backed with subjects like problem solving skills, critical thinking skills, your creativity skills. You will be able to come up with better ideas to solve larger problems when you see things differently, when you approach an idea from a broader perspective. And at that point comes when subjects like critical thinking, communication, collaboration, problem solving, leadership, empathy all come and play a big role. Uh, so 21st century skills primarily refers to study of soft skills, which are pretty much interpersonal, pretty much dynamic in its own way, uh, can be learned in 5 hours and can never end in next 50 years. But what is the outcome of 21st century learning is that it makes you a lifelong learner. If I talk about my personal experience, I've been an entrepreneur for almost a decade now. And the best that happened to me was that I dropped college to go away from education. And coincidentally, I came much closer and ended up creating 4 enterprises in the education space because of my curiosity to continue learning every day something new. And it gave me a different perspective to see the challenges that we are facing in the education sector in our country. So 21st century skills primarily makes you a lifelong learner. You will never stop learning. You will always be curious and curious to find out more information in and around the things that you are doing, whether as a student, whether as an entrepreneur, whether as a professional working in any organization. So when you grow up from maybe an executive to a team leader or a manager, or maybe in a larger organization, you might become a vertical head or you might become a country manager. At that point, your core skills will be only 20% weightage will be valued. Your 20% of know-how of that area is what will be needed. The rest 80% will be about how can you think better to make this organization more profitable, more humane, and how do you really manage your team and grow the business. So when you look at that, and suddenly overnight you cannot really adopt those skills. So if you pick up the phone and if you know 20, even 5 CEOs or maybe 5 leaders or entrepreneurs, pick up the phone and talk to them and find out and ask them that what made you in terms of who you are today. And one common thing that you will find among all of these people, all of the successful leaders, that they are well-read people. They are well-read. They have read a lot, and they have been constantly reading something new. Reading or consuming information, whether you are reading a book or maybe watching a video or listening to an audiobook, all of this information somewhere somehow gets stored in back of your mind, and it automatically comes out when you look at an application, when you look at, can it help in solving a problem, can it help again, I'll take a case study or an example. I love reading anything to do with history and psychology personally, and a lot of people ask me, how does really history helps you? But in fact, history is the only subject that have helped me to create perspective. It have always helped me to get a better sense of future, doing, kind of validation, looking at, how thing happened when somebody did that. And that always gave me the neck or the curiosity to go deeper and deeper and understand if something failed, how it failed, and if something became successful, how it became successful. So keeping all of this in mind, 21st century skills are not your classroom and boardroom subjects. In fact, these are something that you need to adopt. You need to look at as a lifelong activity as part of your ongoing journey as a student, as an entrepreneur. And there are organizations who have started framing all of this curriculum in a better way. Uh, in India, I hardly see any. Of course, Delham is one of the organization who does that for institution, for organization. But there are many other organizations who are doing it differently. So if you are an entrepreneur, my first immediate recommendation would be, don't wait till it is too late for your employee. Keep training them, keep making them more, uh, make them ready for the uncertain time so that they become innovative. They help you to solve your problems and not wait for your solution and work on that direction. If you are a student in a graduating college or master's program, whatever you are pursuing, whether you are doing a master's in management education or engineering or even journalism or even in sociology, do get a sneak peek into 21st century skills. In fact, I can share my screen and I can quickly tell you what are the subjects that I'm talking about. Suzanne, if you can give me access to be the host.
Yes, just
Sure.
actually we are facing a technical issue. We are not
No
able
problem.
to
No
co-host.
problem. So I received a question. Okay, let's keep it interactive from here onwards. So, and I'll continue discussing about the application of 21st century skills. So,
Hello.
sir, being from a humanities background already, the skills you are talking about will be needed in the public relation government job fields also. Can you tell us about that? 21st century skill, as I said, is an interpersonal skills. It goes across all fields. It grows across whether you are a medical student or you are a practicing doctor, whether you are a lawyer, whether you are a humanities student trying to build career in advertising or public relation, or you are someone applying, preparing yourself for UPSC examination. These skills, okay, now I can share my screen. I'll quickly show you what are the skills all about. So if you can see my screens, avoid what is written on the left. They are critical thinking, they are creative writing, they're creativity and problem solving, communication and collaboration, media literacy, flexibility and adaptability, self-direction, cross-cultural skills, productivity, leadership, and design thinking. Now, if we talk about how is this particular module applied in what you do, critical thinking primarily gives you perspective. You will never make a judgment, or you will never take a decision by looking at one side of the wall or one side of the coin. You will evaluate. By default, you will end up evaluating things from both directions. So, for example, a non-critical thinker might say that, okay, we all are facing challenge currently because the government, BJP is in power, and BJP is driven by supremely religiously driven organization. That might be completely wrong. Something else might have gone wrong. Maybe it's about the people, leadership. So being a critical thinker, you will not land up becoming judgmental. You will not land up becoming, or not land up evaluating things in one direction. Creative writing. Now, gone are those days when we used to explain things in one paragraph. There is a book that I read called Raising Funds in Silicon Valley. And the book says that if you cannot define your purpose, if you cannot define your organization, if you cannot define your role in 7 words, you are not part of this 21st century work of world, which means that the power of expression, whether you are doing it in your mother tongue, whether you're doing it in a in language which is common across the world, English, it has to be creative in its own way. So what does Dallin do? For me, if I'm not able to define it in 7 words or less, then I'm breaking the purpose of Dallin. Then I think the way we say we are an interdisciplinary organization, and then people might ask that, okay, what does that mean? Is where your creative writing comes in play to define yourself. But creative writing also defines to the power of expressing your thought into a better sentence. And creative writing teaches you this. Creativity and problem solving. Now, we all are facing problems. India is known as a land for jugaad innovation. Now, when we talk about problem solving, India have always done, or rather, India has solved larger problems through jugaad innovation. And I think uh, primarily a subject like creativity and problem solving teaches you how to think creatively, how to make things more interesting, and at the same time, you're able to solve problems. Communication, I think I don't need to define what communication is. It primarily teaches you how to communicate effectively, and please remember, it is not the power of language that makes you a better communicator. It is the power of expression that makes you a better communicator. You can communicate in your own mother tongue. You can communicate in Hindi or in English. That's not rather the primary objective. That's secondary. Primary is how you're communicating, how you're able to express. Collaboration, it teaches you how to collaborate with teams, with individuals. I think Twitter, Instagram stories are the best example today that I can give you of collaboration. I saw a post where somebody needed an oxygen with a bed, and it went on getting shared 2,500 times maybe. And in less than 2 hours, that person was looking for a bed with an oxygen was able to find. Or from a corporate world, if I give you an example of collaboration, few months back, government made a decision that we cannot use our plastic card for online shopping because of internet fraud that was happening. So they took a immediate decision that no plastic cards, be it Visa or Master, uh, customers will be allowed to do online shopping. It should be used only for your ATM transaction. What happened that time? Two powerful plastic card company like Master and Visa came together, collaborated with government to solve the problem. So they came up with the problem that, okay, we'll make the bank mobile application, give you an intimation that you can switch off your card transaction or you can switch it on. It's at your disposal. You can make a decision. So collaboration primarily teaches you that if you have an idea, why do you need to reinvent the wheel if one portion of that idea is already being executed by someone else? Likewise, media literacy. Media literacy educates you to shape better opinion rather than again becoming judgmental. And today, in this world of WhatsApp University, we come across so many information, so many uh, news which are not true, which are not right, but will end up circulating without even doing a proper evaluation whether it's fact or not. In last few days, we must have seen that there are a lot of pictures and stories in the social media that one bed is being shared with by two patients, and that's the situation of India COVID scenario. While yes, 50 to 70% of them are true, so we are facing crisis, but not 100%. There are pictures from various medical crises in villages, and people have used that images just to play against the governance, leadership, and government. So media literacy is very important for us as an educated citizen to become a responsible citizen, to believe what is true and what is not. Likewise, flexibility and adaptability primarily teaches you how do you become flexible uh, in this dynamic world, dynamic workplace. You may come across people wherein you may not be comfortable with. So how do you really become flexible working with them? How do you adopt their culture, their practices? How do you really sink in that with your pattern of style of work and all of those? And so is self-direction. Self-direction primarily teaches you uh, where did you come from, where are you currently standing, and where are you supposed to head. So primarily it links or interlinks your purpose of life and interconnect with all the objectives that you have got. And so is cross-cultural skills. I think it's one of the most important skills in the internet generation, because if you're not aware of who is what, it might sometime backfire you. Like being from North India, if you're not aware of how a Malayalam community would react to a communication, or maybe a tribal community in Northeast would react to a certain communication. So cross-cultural skills primarily teaches you all of these facets, all of these facts, and the list goes on. The productivity and accountability teaches you the difference between being productive and being accountable. You might be extremely productive, but you are not accountable end of the day. Or you might be highly accountable in your organization, but you may not be productive. So how do you really balance this two? How do you really bring in the essence of both of the things in your workplace? At the same time, the leadership and social responsibility. While we may become great leaders, but maybe we're not socially responsible towards the society. One of the best classic example of a very good combination of leadership and social responsibility would be Tata in India. Tata's main objective has always been to do betterment for the nation. And they have stood by this mission statement for almost 100 years and plus now. Whatever they have done, they've always kept human and Indian citizens in mind. So while we can become great leaders, but if we really don't understand the fundamentals of being socially responsible, a great leaders will also turn out to be a bad human. And lastly, of course, design thinking. We have been hearing about this topic for years now. Design thinking have nothing to do with design. It is all about uh, application of five facts or the five fundamentals of better workplace, applying empathy or solving problem with a uh, uh, with a much more simple manner. How do you really take a complex situation and bring it to a simple situation? So design thinking actually helps you in this. So all of this information are available in dalemlearning.com. You can go and check out more in details about this. So 21st century skills primarily revolves around life skills, learning skills, and literacy skills. In this slide, I did not speak about digital literacy, information literacy, media literacy is there. So all of this comes from literacy skills, which you need to own. And we sometimes think that, okay, what are this? We don't need it. They might come from the world of management. The answer is no. They come from typically from the social science world. So they basically teaches you to be human, to respect the human that we are surrounded in, and to respect the society that we are living in. And look, and we look into the combination of all these three. All right, so I've got more questions to answer. So what about finance domain? What all 21st skills application in finance domain? I think, as I said again, 21st century skills goes across all level. By the time you become a manager of finance and accounts in an organization, by default, problem solving and leadership skill comes in play. Critical thinking is one of the key core subject that remain across all levels, because if you're not a critical thinker, suppose you're a finance manager, you have to make a projection for your next 2 quarters in an organization. That okay, what does the revenue pipeline looks like? How do you really reduce cost? Uh, this is where your thinking skills comes in. Only logical and power of math may not make you a better finance manager, but all of the skills that I've just spoken about makes you a complete finance manager because you'll be able to bring perspective from different experiences that you had, or maybe land up discovering or exploring more by doing research. In terms of health, where do our industry take us? In terms of technology is now taking its course and reducing human-to-human contact. Yes, technology is reducing human-to-human contact, but this is going to stay only for few years. Look at the transition. When internet came in, we were adopting, and then the generation came in, which was only on internet. But the generation Z or neo millennials that we refer as, they are more social than us. They are more committed to a lot of things that they do in life, while they are extremely versatile in terms of making decisions, in terms of choosing multiple career in the life in their life. I think, but at the same time, they do have a lot of space which are offline. And if I have to answer it rightly, human will go back practicing humanity again. Internet will just become part of life and not just life the way we are living currently. And healthcare sector, definitely technology is playing a massive role. And I think thanks to technology, and again, the birth of such solutions are primarily multidisciplinary solution that we can see. Whether Bill Gates Foundation is solving the diarrhea issue in India, it's a combination of international relation team, sociology team, a various humanity team, and of course medical science team and technology team coming together, collaborating together to solve larger problems. So in healthcare, technology is going to play massive role, much bigger role than the world of education and finance, and that's in fact for the betterment of us. Whether it is as simple as ordering medicines online, consulting a doctor online, to high tech robots doing human surgery, which have already come into play and practice. I think there are a few hospitals already in India where robots are doing human operations. One of them that I know is Amrita University's Medical College in Kerala. So philosophy has emerged as a multidisciplinary subject, which is covering a lot of other subjects matter as well. Talks about logic, reasoning, and critical thinking. What is your view on this subject? As I said, be it philosophy, be it psychology, sociology, history, world cinema, appreciating Indian cinema, music, art, culture, heritage, all of them can be referred as a social science education. And the world that we are entering, or the world that we have entered, no organization, no product, no solution can play a better role without integrating social science. So the way you see philosophy as a subject, philosophy primarily looks at designing the vision statement for anything that you do, rather. So it's a philosophical approach that I want to be this in the world in next 5 years. Well, in next 2 decades, while mission statement is more logical, more applicable, more application oriented. So be it philosophy, be it sociology, all of this are poetry, as we say in Dalam, that this is the poetry of your overall education that you receive. Uh, it definitely helps you to become a better thinker. It helps you to borrow ideas from different school of thoughts, different school of philosophy, as it's referred, or I call it different school of thoughts, and shape a better opinion. That if you have to do something, keeping in mind for a society, which can be a tier 3 market if you are an entrepreneur creating a product, a philosophical approach will always help you to understand, get a perspective, whatever school of thought in philosophy that you're following. So you'll be able to connect with human more closely than just being a managerial or a technical students. Okay, so recently I heard Stanford has introduced a program known as Symbolic System. Is the program which is blend of computer science, psychology, linguistic, and philosophy. It examines the relationship between human and computer. For example, how to endo computers with human-like behavior and understanding, and how to design. Okay, is this a question or it's a statement? If it's a statement, it's a great information. I'm aware of it. Of course, the world of human computation is evolving, wherein just studying computer science and coding is not the answer. Students are doing multidisciplinary here. Again, you are doing cognitive science, you are doing literature, you are doing behavioral study, you are doing sociocultural study, or you are doing linguistic and psychology and all of this subjects. So if you are a school kid who wants to make career in computer science, try to look at undergrad and master programs, which gives you this kind of subject options. Human computation is going to be the future. We all are living with in the era of human computation. So if you have to prepare yourself for the jobs of tomorrow from the world of computer science, you need to be extremely well read in the non-technical domain as well. And this is what Stanford program symbolic system is all about. And there are many such subjects. You should look at Carnegie Mellon computer science program. They've got some of the best computer science engineers coming out, and the kind of subjects that they do are phenomenal. They have archaeology with computer science. I've seen computer science with music. I mean, all the high-tech machines which are used for creating music are not just coders and electronic engineers, but they come from studying music, sound, rhythm, culture. Do you think taking up foreign language as major will be productive or a good option in the future? Studying any language is always helpful. It is always an additional skill. But if you are extremely passionate about become a linguistic expert, you want to become a tourism expert, or you want to make your career in international relation, definitely taking up a major in language will always be helpful. But while choosing that language, also look at which language you're picking up. It can be extremely niche, or it can be extremely popular or commercialized like Spanish or German or French. But at the same time, if you're looking at making your career in international relation, you want to join embassies, join diplomat and all of this, language skills always helps you to choose a very niche career in itself. Well, my website for Delham is delhamlearning.com. I'll ask Suzanne if you can drop it. I don't have the option to type here, or can I know? Yeah, I can. I'll just write it down. Do you think learning languages will become less important as translation tools and AI evolves? No, never. No human language can be taken over by any machines. Machines learn from us. And when we say artificial intelligence and machine learning, it's basically adoption of our habits. It's reading our habit 1,000 times and then throwing its own opinion about it. So no matter what translation you bring in, the human touch in expressing emotion can never be done by machine. So if this is the answer you're looking at, the answer is no. Nothing can take over human language at all. So yes, these are the interesting questions. I hope I was able to answer them, but please feel free to uh, raise more questions. But I wonder if non-technology field like handicrafts, etc., would have positive future. Of course, if you look at recent government decision to ban importing toys, have created a big impact in Indian economy to get into that Make in India campaign again for developing toys. We all grew up with a lot of international toy coming from the US, coming from China. Very little attention was given to the Indian toy makers. So it's like the handicrafts item. I mean, see, as we keep evolving, where our socio-economic status keep rising up, we'll start valuing back the basics of human life, very basics. And those basics are also about maybe decorating our home with extremely niche handcraft item from some states. No matter how rich we go and can afford, can buy maybe a Louis Vuitton uh, bags and Rolex watches, but value of such item are always priceless. Yes. Can they scale? Can they become a scalable product worldwide? The answer always remains no, because it needs a lot of human effort. It needs a lot of, but these are art. These are this is a heritage. We all need to protect it. Why do so many organizations land up funding cultural events? It's purely about requesting. Uh, it's purely about protecting the art and culture of the nation, be it uh, book festival like Jaipur Lit Fest and many others, or be it music fest and film festivals and art festival. A lot of organizations, primarily someone like Mahindra, have always supported such initiatives. Tata have always supported such initiative. It's about protecting the society. The answer to this is that why do we need defense system? Why do we have so many army always stationed in the border? It's about protecting the nation from foreigners to take over our nation. So is art and culture. It can never die. The richer you are, you are always in the higher radar of the social status of this world. And India has always been on the top when it comes to art and culture. All right, what do you think about jobs in the field of political science, sociology? Will they become less relevant in the few years from now? Not at all. Uh, in fact, when you think of organization like Facebook, MasterCard, Visa, Instagram, think about any new age organization, Uber, they all have a very large department called Department of Public Policy. In fact, Facebook have got a very large media wing in itself, wherein students from international relation and political science joins. Uh, Maybe 10 years back, we never had political uh, consultants, but now we have, consulting think tanks wherein people from this background make their career. And just to correct one more fact, as I explained you that everything is about economy end of the day. When you don't have food at home, you will not go and hunt for a fine dine restaurant. You will just go for your basic dal chawal. So is the country's economy. That decides how the future of job is going to shape up. We have already crossed that path where we will be only talking about labor market and skilled market. We are evolving as a nation to become innovative. And as a country, we have been producing a lot of doers.
अरे
Doers
यार
by that
चाय
I
पीनी है अपने को।
by doers, we refer to people who who have been extremely engaged in creating applications-led work. But thinkers were missing in our country, and thinker primarily comes out from studying subjects like political science, international relations, sociology, and the demand is increasing. Think tanks recruit people like you. Uh, Big Four consulting like Ernst and Young, KPMG, PwC, all of this recruits people like you. So it's not ending. It's that you have to find, and there are enough job opportunities. In fact, we as an organization have always recruited liberal arts or a social science or a humanity graduates, and we prefer training them managerial skills and technical skills because those can be taught. What cannot be taught, how you think. And a student with a political science or a sociology or a philosophy background or a history background at least bring perspective, and teaching perspective is not easy. All right, and I think there are last one question. Will this also hamper current PGDM courses or PG courses? Nothing will hamper anything if you are preparing yourself for the future. Uh, just do not rely on your classroom education. Try to be a lifelong learner. Point number one. Try to learn from anything and everything available handy. I think technically education is free. What we pay for is facilitation. But teacher facilitate us to learn, they curate what to learn. Or else knowledge is absolutely free. Go to Google, type any topic, and you will have 2,000 websites sharing information. But teachers primarily help you to take decision what to read and what not. PGDM or MBAs, yes, please focus on 21st century skills. If your college is not teaching, go and tell them to teach you all of these subjects, because if you are not able to cope up with these subjects, chances are that less that you will be able to get a good job in the in the in the current scenario. Ask yourself, what is the reason that one IIM Ahmedabad graduate gets a better package and not just a normal tier to these schools? The answer is between what they learn, how they learn.
Sir, I think there
All
was
right.
one last question by Anupriya. She wanted to ask the question.
Okay.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Hi.
This is Anupriya. Good evening, sir.
Hi, Anupriya.
Yeah, my name is Anupriya and I'm pursuing my bachelor's in mass communications. I had a question regarding of how, like I mentioned it in the written question form also, that
Okay.
since like everything, like this current situation, the emphasis is on digital learning, but the trends and the prevailing cultures are always evolving. And so how do we get our skills, like these soft skills, on paper? Because at the end of the day, given the structure of how jobs look like and the system looks like in India, it seems like everybody wants it on paper. So how do we, you know, get that done? How do we shift it to in practical terms?
Okay. So if I am able to understand your question correctly, you're looking at, okay, how do we really look at education to become more experiential, right? The soft skills?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So soft skills without application have no relevance. Please remember that. So how all of the soft skills are taught are always clubbed with a lot of experiential activity. An organization like us, what we do, we focus on 70% teaching through our cinematic experiential case study lessons, but we also give 30% do-it-yourself projects. Now, if you are a student pursuing your career in journalism, and if 21st century skill is something that your college have incorporated, or maybe they already doing it, soft skills always have better outcome when they are put together in an experiential manner. So just to give you an example, uh, cross-cultural identity maybe. So after learning cross-cultural identity, the best would be that why don't you make a documentary on the shrinking families of family who makes sitar. You know, there is a very small community of people who make sitar now. This will give you an exposure to go into that village of Hyderabad, interact with family, understand that how their profession is shrinking in today's era, and that 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 just giving you an example. This can be one of the role play, but from a very much experiential point of view. Or, for example, critical thinking as a subject. Critical thinking without application, without experience, will never be able to understand that are you really well equipped with the knowledge and information. Yes, knowledge will be there in your head, but practicing it, it has to come through your classroom experiential activity. How it happens is, of course, by the instructor, by the facilitator. How do you really going to do it yourself? It's little impractical to say that you pick up the subject and do it yourself. You need an instructor to help you out on that. If I have answered it correctly, if not, please ask me again and I will answer it. And I'm reading
No,
a question as well.
yeah, no, I
Please.
completely understand the question and it makes sense because but the problem that we're facing as students, like I don't know whether most of the people would agree with me or not, but that everything has become, linear. So
Mhm.
now it's upon the onus is on us as students to, discover things. And we do that. So, it just needs to be directed a certain way to implement these skills into our lives.
Which college do you go, Anupriya?
I am in Indraprasth College,
Okay.
IPCW, Indraprasth
Okay.
College of
Okay.
Women. Yeah.
All right. Now, it's one of the top school in India, and I think a lot of practices have always been adopted by them. I'm sure, hopefully. One thing that I feel, just to give you an example, journalism as an education, because I come from content creation background, and that's what I enjoy personally. I see most of journalism students today really don't get educated in bite-sized learning and writing. Today, you are living in an era of Twitter. If you, as a journalist, not able to raise question and answer questions in those few characters, few words, then you are not preparing yourself for jobs of tomorrow. And how do you really learn it? Is an application-based learning. So there are courses about short learning, short content writing, or Twitter journalism. I don't know what is the term used. I was interacting with a friend of mine. She teaches in Bangalore. She said that my entire focus goes on teaching journalism students how to create, short stories and make it more relevant. At the same time, making this travel to millions of people uh, without compromising in quality. So this can be one of the skill that being a journalist journalism student, you should look at adopting. And there are plethora of opportunities available online. There are communities there. You should go and learn from them, or maybe take up an internship. That will also help. Answering another question that you have raised in between, learning in previous era or a decade back, what we did that, okay, we have done our undergrad, we do our masters, now we are ready for the world. No, now it is about learning, go to work, come back, learn again, go to work, come back, learn again, go to work, or you are learning and working, learning and working. So the learning culture is completely changing. You have to constantly adopt new things as you progress in life. Even if you look at the new education policy, it primarily says that students can drop out after first year, take a break, go for 2 years of work X, come back again, do the second year, go back out again. Why? This was primarily to help the internet citizens or netizens, whatever we refer them as, to primarily make learning should never stop. In fact, there is a terminology used called lifelong learning. So lifelong learning is all about that. Please continue learning. You have learned nothing in 3 years. In fact, whatever you have learned in 3 years in your undergrad, by the time you enter the world, it is obsolete. So what do you need to do? You need to constantly learn.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So
I think,
yes, this is, yeah, Suben, sorry.
yes, just wanted to announce it to the participants that we've circulated a link on the chat box because we'll be giving certificates to everyone who has attended it. So please fill it up so that we will have your details and we can send you out the certificates, and we will be sending it by 2 or 3 days by next week. And also, I think, sir, do you want to answer more questions or?
I don't see any questions not being answered. If I missed out anything, but until then, people will get habituated with the technology. Requesting everyone to
It was an amazing session, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. And I
Thank
would
you,
like to thank all
everyone.
the participants also for joining us here. I would request everyone to switch on their camera so that we can have like a group picture, because this is the best we can have right now. Guys, please switch on your cameras if it's possible. Yashika, once everyone switches it on, please take a photo. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. It's just going to take us 5 seconds. Thank you all. Okay. So you can see the people who are interacting now.
Oh, yes. Thank you, everyone. I think lovely meeting all of you. I'm a very, very passionate educationist, I would say, and less entrepreneur. If I was an entrepreneur, I would have spoken about how do you make a unicorn and how do you scale your business and how do you teach a 7-year-old kid coding. I don't believe in all of those. I come from a very different school of thought. Be responsible citizen, enjoy learning, continue to be a learner for life. Life has a lot of things to give us, and at the same time, we should give back to the society and take life easy. It comes once, it's not a rat race, you have to win. In fact, don't run for a rat race, create your own path, keep walking there. You might be all alone for a few years, but you will see few people walking along with you. So passion that you enjoy is the utmost thing that you should keep. No matter how many of your parents and elder pushes you ki jaldi graduation khatam karo, UPSC crack karo, crack JEE and all of those, just take it from one and take it out from the other. It really doesn't help. Personal experience, 34% in class 10, that is me, 68% in class 12, and so bored with education that I'll ended up dropping college in the first year. But that did not stop me to create career in education or build an education enterprise in India and abroad. And I'm extremely passionate about. And yes, I did not go to college, but I do have people from IIMs and JNUs and other good university working with me. So it's not about what you study in life, it's about how you see life. So thank you everyone it was good interacting. I loved your questions. If you have more questions, you can please write to me. It's very simple. Email ID is S for sugar, B for Bombay @dalamlearning.com. Whenever I get time, for sure, I will respond it back. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you everyone for joining. Bye.